like a little bit of a rejigging with those two roles for Netherton and Lazenby being slightly different names to head of youth. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not an old-fashioned term head of youth, isn't it? It's quite a 20th century term.
Yeah, whereas head of player pathway development is a lot more 2021, isn't it?
It's modern management.
Yeah, get more words into the job title. It means more apparently.
I say this as somebody who's got like God knows, like 5 or 6 words in my job title. So yeah, guilty as charged.
Yes, not too far off. Yep. Catalans duo Paul Seguier and Benjamin Julien have signed new deals with the French club. Prop Seguier, who's 23, has signed a new 1-year contract. He's made 27 appearances since making his first team debut back in 2016. France international Julien has also signed a new 1-year deal with Catalans. He's made 61 Super League appearances for the Dragons and helped them to win the Challenge Cup back in 2018.
Good business, you say? More domestic talent tied down?
I think it's supportive of what they've been doing, but I also think it demonstrates that these two players still need to prove themselves somewhat. Certainly Seguier, I think now he's coming into a point where he's been around for long enough that he now needs to demonstrate that he can consistently be a useful part of a Super League squad, and I'm not sure that he's really, pushed himself to the front of that list. So I think for him it's an important year next year in particular. Julien's maybe the kind of player who you can just tick along with 1-year deals. I would say one thing it'll have done is it stopped maybe Toulouse coming in and trying to get them if they get promoted, because they'd be the sort of players who've got Super League experience that Toulouse then might go looking for, isn't it, I suppose? But
you think so, yeah.
But Seguier, I think it's an important sort of 12, 16 months coming up for him now.
Yeah. We move to the Championship. York have signed young forward Jacob Gannon from Warrington on a week-to-week loan. The back rower, who's the son of ex-Halifax forward Jim and the brother of Leeds youngster Morgan, has come through the system at Warrington but has yet to make his first team debut. Yet another son of a player that I remember playing coming through and making me feel like an old man.
Yeah, it's all we've talked about York this year, I feel like, is, before the year, all we talked about was all the old men they'd signed. During the year, all we've talked about is all the young players they brought in on loans. It's been an unstable year, but
and that kind of obviously speaks to where they are in the table. I mean, they obviously haven't had the year that they would have wanted. So yeah, it's a get through this year for them. I'm afraid.
It's been a relatively tough situation for the Gannons as well, hasn't it? Having Jacob at Warrington and Morgan at Leeds. You'll have had to split yourself, wouldn't you?
In what way?
Well, one parent would have to go with one, and one parent would have to go with the other.
That's true, yeah. And then, they're not next to each other, are they? Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, fair point.
But Morgan's really progressed this year, coming into the first team at 17 years old at Leeds. So if Jacob's got the same sort of abilities, then that's it's going to be a good pair to look out for in the future.
Let's just hope they've got a better at keeping the temper than their dad was.
I don't think Morgan Gannon is. I think he's got fire in him. But yeah, these young Yorkshire back rowers, they've all got fire in them, it seems.
So it seems.
Widnes forward Kenny Baker has signed a new deal with the club for 2022 season. The 29-year-old arrived at Widnes ahead of last season from North Wales Crusaders and become a fan favourite at the DCBL Stadium.
Yeah, another new stadium name. Barrow have confirmed the signing of Ellis Gillam from Whitehaven for the 2022 season. Gillam features in back row and currently wears squad number 19 for Whitehaven. The Barrow-born player has also previously featured for Rochdale and is a product of the Warrington Wolves Academy.
I don't know much about him, but I think if Barrow are signing a player that's been fairly regular at the Championship level for a couple of years, then that's not a bad thing for them. The Championship playoffs, also not a bad thing, will all be televised live on Sky Sports, including the £1 million game on Sunday, October the 10th. The top 6 in the table, currently led by Toulouse, will battle for promotion to Super League, with all games, including the final, to be played at the home ground of the highest-ranked teams. How's that going to work with Toulouse? They won't even know how to host a game, will they, after this year? Featherstone, Bradford, Halifax, Batley and London currently occupy the other playoff spots below Toulouse, with 4 rounds now left to play. Meanwhile, all the League One playoff games will be broadcast on our league, with the champions earning automatic promotion. The teams placed 2nd to 5th will battle out for a second promotion spot to the Championship.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it, that there'll be coverage of these games. What I always kind of have a bit of a broadcast live on our league sort of underwhelmed feeling to that nowadays, because I also think, where's the and on the RFL's YouTube channels or something like that, where it's not just playing to our own people. You might get more ads revenue as well if you're putting them on YouTube. Maybe.
I mean, they're obviously still trying to make our league the destination for that kind of thing, I suppose. It depends what the model is for next year and what the model is beyond that. That's why I'm kind of not that excited about the playoffs, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
Because I have absolutely no clue what next year is going to bring.
It seems that the Super League has said no, it's 1 up, 1 down. It's what we went into it with. So it's what happens below that, isn't it? Now,
that's what I mean. It's not, with the greatest respect, when I'm thinking about my own club, I'm not thinking about us going into Super League, because that would be bizarre beyond belief if we beat the likes of Featherstone and Toulouse. I'm thinking about League One teams. I'm thinking about Championship teams outside of your top 2 or 3. That's my kind of where my head is really. So obviously it's good that they're being covered, but I mean it feels a little bit bittersweet at the moment, unfortunately.
Well, I think the one thing to say is people who talk about they need to be on TV more, they have to make a point to watch these games and
definitely.
Tweet about that you're watching these games when you're watching these games, and that sort of stuff, and generate a positive feeling from it, rather than just sit there saying the Championship should be on TV more, but no one fucking watches it. This is not our opportunity to watch it and to encourage it.
Yeah, but
it'll be funny to make Sky have to go to Toulouse 3 times or whatever they could be doing.
Just that thing about potentially playing at Toulouse, that I just can't see that happening. I see us pressing a kind of neutral venue into service. You would say, I mean, that would obviously be Fev, but that might literally be the last place that you want to hold it in that way. So,
can you remember which team it was that I was talking to someone the other day, trying to remember this? Which was the team that Featherstone played their home game against at Swinton? Because they must be fucking fuming now. That they've had to play Toulouse twice and no one else has.
Who did Toulouse play at Swinton?
Was it Sheffield or Dewsbury? One of those sort of bottom half teams that, if they had a couple more wins, would be in contention, but
I can't remember. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah.
But it's a fair point, because I mean, obviously the entire season is with a massive asterisk, obviously. But
we'll report back on that when we cover the Championship results later on, then, shall we?
Yeah, I'll look it up in a break. So in moving to the women's game. So York City Knights have signed Liv Whitehead. The 17-year-old joins the club from Wakefield Trinity ahead of the second half of the Women's Super League season. Whitehead's rugby league journey began in high school when she was 14. The youngster is also a talented footballer and has had an opportunity to go to a scholarship to the US. But despite this, she's staying in the UK and now is looking to take her rugby league career to the next level.
Yeah, and York City Knights have signed Georgie Hetherington. The 23-year-old joins the club following a 4.5-year spell at Castleford Tigers Women. So that'll make Rob and all the Cass fans excited.
The York City Mercenaries continue. Yeah,
York keep building, don't they?
Yes, they do. They keep. I mean, one person's building is another person's asset stripping. Yeah, yep.
Well, I don't know what's this Liv Whitehead. Is she really going to be sticking around? Let's hope so. If she's this talented a sports person, it'd be better to have her in our sport. And it's a good story, isn't it? It's certainly an interesting story, one that can help generate some attention. I think, one thing we need to be doing at this stage is really try and generate some attention on the women's game, because it's going to fall behind other sports even more than obviously we already are, given the success of and the impact that the 100 in cricket has had for women's sport. The fact that the women's, is it called the Super League or the Premier, whatever, the women's top division of soccer is going to be on Sky Sports this year, so that's going to get a bit more exposure there as well. I think we need to be getting all the stories out there we can in the women's game, and I think this York Cass kind of situation is another interesting story.
Yeah, it was. I'm just looking at it now. I think it was Widnes they played.
It was.
They beat them 70-0. So.
And Widnes are one of those teams that are not a million miles off, are they?
True. Yeah.
That's true. London being so dire at the moment, it's anyone's game that's last place in the playoffs.
It appears to be. Scrums. Scrums will not be reintroduced into the domestic game in 2021, the RFL has announced. Scrums were suspended from the restart of the 2020 season last August after officials took advice from medical and scientific experts on where to combat the effects of the pandemic. They remain suspended for the start of the 2021 season, but it was hoped they would be reintroduced later in the year, and certainly in time for the World Cup. However, the World Cup has been postponed for 12 months, and the RFL's Law Committee believes scrums should remain suspended in the interests of player health and well-being and in the interests of competition integrity. So...
there's no reason to bring him back this year, so...
No, exactly.
Fine to me.
Fair enough.
And finally, let's finish on a nicer, more heartwarming one. In the week after Rob Burrows' book was released, and lots of people have been buying that, Leeds Rhinos plan to erect a statue of two of the club's greatest ever servants, Rob Burrow and Kevin Sinfield, at Emerald Headingley. The pair won 7 Super League titles and 2 Challenge Cup crowns together at the club between 2004 and 2015. Burrow was diagnosed with motor neurone disease, of course, in 2019, with former Rhinos captain Sinfield raising $2.2 million to help fund research into the condition. Leeds have appealed to fans to help raise £100,000 to fund the statue. I'm sure that will be raised very easily and quickly. The statue would sit in the corner of the stadium looking down on the pitch and would join the statue of John Holmes, Leeds record appearance maker, World Cup winner and start of 19 finals for the club, which was erected earlier this summer. So statues are all the rage in Leeds.
So it would appear.
It's nice though, isn't it, that there's going to be some sort of lasting monument to that great side. And I think, again, when we talk about stories around the sport, the Rob Burrow one's one that's touched everyone, and the Sinfield fundraising one was one of the biggest good news stories that's happened since the bad news story of Rob Burrow getting motor neuron disease. So I think it's fitting in a number of ways. It's not. I don't feel like it's a tokenistic thing because Rob Burrow's ill either. I feel like that helps add to the narrative around it, but to me, Leeds need something to commemorate that era of their club, because it's over now, and well, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I mean, as you say, it was a a decade of success, wasn't it? There's no other way to look at it. So and they're two of the three players, or probably maybe four players,